Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jackie and this is a Jackie and the Leaf Stock channel where we talk about houseplants. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you some of the staple houseplant supply items that I pick up either when I go thrifting or that they have at the dollar store. I know a lot of stores now are bringing out the gardening stuff and the plant supplies, but I don't always just look in the garden section. When I go to the dollar store, there's other areas of the store that have other things that I use that you can spend less money on, so that you can spend majority of your money on plants, because the hobby can get expensive once you start getting into plants that are a little bit more expensive, a little more rare to find. Pottery, I know I've spent a good amount of money on pottery before. Once you start mixing your own soil and buying all the different things, let's just say it can add up. So this is some of my ideas on how you can reduce costs in other areas of your house plant supplies, so that hopefully you can spend all your money on plants. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so the first thing that we're going to talk about are thrift store finds. So the very first place that I ever look when I go into a thrift store is the glassware section, because I love to propagate, but I'm not gonna drop $20-$30 on a propagation station that can only hold like 1 leaf or 2 leaves at a time. So I like to go there to look at the glassware for jars or any type of unique, cups, glassware, whatever. And you can find some really unique ones, and you can also find just like your basic mason jars there for cheap. So I'm going to show you examples of what I tend to look for. So of course, mason jars are one, and they always have mason jars or any type of jars that have wide mouths. So I like the wide mouth for like if I'm cutting them on Stera, obviously it needs to be big enough to fit the base of it. Or if I have a bunch of cuttings that can just sit on top and majority of it is in water, I love these. But there's other plants, like when I propagate Hoya, or if I'm only propagating a small amount of, let's just say I stick 1 leaf of a golden pothos inside, I like to use a narrow opening so that it has something to rest on and it doesn't necessarily fall through all the way. So if I tried to stick a Hoya cutting in here, it wouldn't work. It would just float to the bottom. But versus here, it could at least rest on the top and have this area submerge. So cheap propagation vessels, I would hit up the thrift store for that. Okay, kind of sticking to the glassware theme. This I found in the glassware, and I'm just going to show you what it is. So I think it was a vase. I'm not sure what it was, but I found it sitting like this. And I was like, okay, I mean, you could probably use this to propagate something, but it probably wouldn't be too stable because of how small this is. But another thing that's like trendy right now is like greenhouses or what's it called? Humid coaches? I don't know. Basically, you can use this if you flip it upside down and you stick a little plant in there for like a humidity chamber. So this was in the glassware section. I know this is gonna be kind of like a hit or miss, but you can just get creative and see what you find at the thrift store. I totally wasn't expecting to find this, and if I could have just glanced over it basically and not thought about using it as a humidity chamber for a plant like a Hoya or whatever you want. But so this is just like a regular mat. Oop. This is just like a regular mat that you can use. You can also use a cork mat to put at the bottom, obviously one that fits the size of the opening. But I had a Hoya curtii in here for a little bit. I had a couple of strings of turtles inside. So this is just like a unique find for the cheap. And lastly, for items that you can thrift, I know it's a hit or miss whenever you go to thrift stores, but I think that's just in general for whatever you're looking for. But just be on the lookout for things such as plant stands or baskets. They always have a whole entire section also dedicated to baskets, and I know that's a lot of people's aesthetics, or that's the way that they like to basically hide their nursery pots. Okay, so this is the plant stand that I found. It's really cute. It's small enough, and I have a lot of small plants just all over the floor, And I picked this up. My intention was to spray paint it, but I still haven't spray painted it. But it was $3. And it's metal and it's pretty. And I'm sure like once I give it a good spray paint, it will come back to life. But found this at this thrift store. Okay, so that's it for the thrift store ideas, basically. Ways that you can save some money on just basic things that we all tend to use when we're into houseplants, like propagation stations, humidity chambers, and plant stands. So now we can get into the dollar store finds. Okay, so I went to the dollar store last week and I went specifically to pick up Tupperware containers. And I know that sounds strange, but I'm actually already using all of them. So I purchased 3 Tupperware containers and they're the bigger size ones. I think they are $1 each. Obviously we're at the dollar store. So I picked up 3 and I'm using 2 currently for propagation boxes. And the third one I'm using for bottom watering. So I tend to bottom water my plants now. It's just easier and I feel like the plant is absorbing and getting all the water that it needs regularly. So what I do is fill this container with about 1 inch of water and then I pop in as many plants as fit. Usually if they're 4-inch plants, I can fit about 3 or 4, but it really just depends. And I just let them sit there, absorb the water, and then put in the next batch. So I really like this because I was stealing Tupperware from the kitchen for a while and stealing bowls and different things. And now I just have like a dedicated Tupperware for my plants. So that's something that you can cut corners on and you don't have to get like too crazy with methods or finding ways to like create propagation boxes or bottom watering. Yeah, so that's my first pick, and obviously that's not from the garden section, but it's in the Tupperware section, and just go pick up as many as you need, and they have just all the different sizes that you would want. So I did pick up the larger size ones. Okay, so the next thing that I picked up is from the garden section, and they had so many different size pots. They had nursery pots, they had terracotta pots, different sizes. They just have a good variety going on right now, but I picked up these. I think it was a pack of 10 for $1. This is a 3-inch size, but they also had 4 and 6-inch. I will say they're not like my favorite because they are just a little bit more flimsy than your regular nursery pots. But since I have so many propagations going on right now, these are good just to basically transfer my propagations into soil and get them established. So yeah, if you have a lot of propagations and you're ready to transfer them, I would definitely hit up the dollar store for pots. These are the starter pots or the nursery pots, but they also did have like plastic ones, terracottas. They just had a really good variety. So if you need some pots, I would hit up the dollar store. Okay, so the next item that I pick up frequently from the dollar store as well are wooden skewers or wooden dowels, and this is from the craft section. So these are useful for one, if your plant needs a stake temporarily, if it's growing upwards, if it's leaning, whatever you need. I mean, you can get a pack of 10 for $1. Or you could use this as the centerpiece for when you're making moss poles. So if you're gonna make a moss pole, and if you use the method where you basically, put the moss around it and then you use twine to go around, you can use these. So I think these just come in helpful for like random general moments that you might need to stake a plant or you wanna create a moss pole. Okay, and then the next thing that I picked up from the craft section, I haven't used this before, but I thought it was so cute and it might be a cute idea. I haven't tried it out yet, but they have these like little wooden pallets for $1. Okay, so just hear me out. So I thought like, oh, that would be so cute if you stuck like a plant on top of it. If you stuck a plant on top, basically, I tend to run out of these like, what are they called? The things that go at the bottom of the terracotta pots, saucers. I tend to run out of the saucers. And I was like, oh, if you want to get cute, you can use this as a little plant stand, potentially. This is just a random idea, okay? It's not necessarily something that I pick up all the time, but they also had this size. I thought it was just cute. You probably do need to like seal it. You can put like Mod Podge on top so it doesn't get like moldy, but I just thought it was a cute idea that I can throw in, and I couldn't resist picking up this little palette. Okay, lastly, these are items that I did pick up from the garden section. So pair of gloves and then plant labels. So for me, at the least, Hoyas, once you start getting into them, it is crazy how much some of them look alike. And I will say that for like a lot of the philodendrons too. Like once you start getting into more rare philodendrons, they start looking alike to me, and I'm just like, what was that plant? Is that? And I've seen some people like legit be like, I forgot what the name of this plant is. So they have a little tin pack. It's a plant label. Obviously this is like probably for garden purposes, but you could totally just write Hoya blah 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 or philodendron blah 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 and stick it in your pot. So this is just an idea if you want to use it. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that this at least gave you some inspiration to go looking at the thrift store to see what you can find, or the dollar store and picking up random things from different sections, or even the garden section there at the dollar store. So I hope you can save some money and use that money to buy all the plants that you want, or all the pottery that you want, or whatever you like spending your money on in terms of plants. So thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye guys.